Hello, everyone. Hi, may I have your attention? So welcome to this breakout session about a feature in our product which helps you to get insight out of your data. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Gaurav Sancheti, and I'm working as a quality assurance analyst with Mendix for the last 2 years now. I'm working with team integration, wherein we work with lots of web services, REST services, app services, and we try to just consume and publish data out of our applications. So if you look at these features, then we are the guys behind it. So we'll get in touch soon. We have been hearing a lot of stories about we have a big pile of data in the database, that raw data is not useful. I don't understand raw data, right? I need to do something with that data to transform it into information. So that information is a value, and until unless I cannot achieve it, that's useless. So this presentation is going to be about how you can use different tools and integrate with Mendix to transform your data into an insight and make a better decision for your business. So this presentation is going to be a few slides about what this OData protocol is, why do we choose it, and what you can do with this protocol. What is Open Data Protocol? So if I just try to get the first feeling, what I want to do with my data, I would like to start off with the phrase, any powerful idea is absolutely fantastic and absolutely useless until we choose to use it. And if I choose to use my data to give me some useful information out of my application, then I can tell to the other business folks that, hey, this is what we need to do based on the analytic records that we have. So digital innovation is also fueled by analytics and insight. Well, that's true because that data ultimately is going to give you different insights, and that's where Mendix gives a solution, Open Data Protocol. It's OData, referred to as OData, and that's why we choose OData to give you the flexibility with a simple ease, just a few clicks, and you expose your domain model entities as resources of some different services. And there you go. You can just get your data out of your application. Not only that, your third-party tools like Excel, Tableau, Power BI, LinkPad, they can just connect to these services easily and can give you different insights that we are talking since morning. What is an insight? What is an insight? So let's walk to the next slide and then also see the demonstration of how we can use this feature and get the data out of my application. If I go by the book, the standard definition is to this protocol is a simple protocol to easily consume and publish simple RESTful APIs to give me the data out of my application. We all are familiar with REST, right? So OData is also REST, but the standardized version of REST. And that's where we feel it important to build this feature in our product so that we can integrate with other tools to talk to my application, get the data out of it, give me the different insight or nice view of my data. And why we choose OData? Like I said, we always try to rely on standards. Oasis standard, Microsoft started with the OData protocol, and then now it is maintained by Oasis. So they are already at version 4. We are using version 3 in Mendix because most of these external tools accepts OData version 3. So that's why we choose it. And the flexibility that it gives you, it means that you don't have to worry about how to define my request, my response, my HTTP headers, my payloads, etc. I don't know that thing. I just know that if I find an easy and simple way to just do some clicks, and I have a service that is dedicated for that data, then I'm good. So that's where this protocol helps to be chosen by us. Obviously, you can then make different types of queries. You can filter your data. You can do sorting on your data, just like you can do with REST. Because of these features, we choose it. If you use Microsoft Outlook, there is RSS feed that is based on the Atom protocol. And this representation of all these messages is also supported in OData. And for the mobile user especially, the JSON format of the messages is exchanged between different applications when these OData services talk to each other. And that's why one of the reasons we choose OData. And like I already mentioned previously, I was talking about Tableau, Excel, Power BI. What are these? These are some different tools that you can use to create different insights on top of your data. So in the next demo, what we'll be seeing is how I expose my domain model entities as an OData service, and then I just open these tools and try to connect to this service and see what can I do with that data. So what do we support in Mendix? Just to give a highlight of this, Mendix 5.18 release already had this feature. So right now we are at 6.5.1, so we already are using OData, and most of our customers are already using this feature to publish different OData services. So that's something that might be useful for you. And yes, we can connect to different BI tools that we feel are really important these days. So that's why we also support in Mendix. So OData in Mendix, let's summarize it, because next thing is going to be the demo itself. So one-click publishing, you just go to the entity, do a right-click, expose as a resource. So that's very simple. Security, but that's quite important, because in your application, your domain model already has some security defined in it, and that security can also be extended further for your services. So your services are also secured. For example, I am providing an application, and as a manager or as an administrator, I'm only allowed to see the data of my application. Why would I allow somebody else, like other customers, to see the data? So you can secure different user roles also on your services very easily, that I'll show you in the demo, and then set the security, and then you're good to go. You can also do the query operations. So all these third-party tools, they just try to make different types of queries to my data, and then they can filter the data, they can sort the data, and they can select different data from the database that is there in the application. We have an inbuilt query streaming API from data storage team that helps to minimize memory consumption and increase the performance. So there has to be something that should enable me to take the data out of my applications in high streaming format, and it should consume less memory. So the performance has to be high, and the performance has to be very good. And if I talk about a tool called Tableau, it's a very popular tool these days, which is used for analytics that they do. They support data extraction in form of pages. Imagine a database with 1 million records, and extracting that 1 million record all at once in the memory, yeah, it will crash either the application or the third-party tool itself. So I would like to push this data in pages, and that's where the power of paging also helps in Mendix to push your data or expose your data in form of pages, and then your tooling can work smoothly with in integration with Mendix. So like I said, introduction about what OData is, what can we do with it. It's time to now see it. So I will just open the modeler. Yeah. So this is the 6.5.1 version of the modeler. It is the latest version that we have as an official release in the App Store. So I'm going to make use of that. I can just log in with my credentials. Now I'm going to create a simple app where I'll just create a sample entity, and I'll try to expose this as an OData resource. So I just click on New App. I'm not interested in themes right now. I'm only interested in a blank app because, yeah, test OData feature 1, whatever. I can give a custom name. I think most of the people who already use Mendix are familiar with the creation of a simple app in few clicks. So this is the domain model. I'm going to create an entity. Let's give this entity a name, person. Add some attributes, a name. Is it visible for the attributes that I'm creating? OK. I can create an age. So this is the simple entity that let's say I create. If you look at the system members here, created date, change date, owner, change by, well, these attributes are also important because then I have, as an owner of the application, I'm also interested to store the information when the data was created, who is changing the data, who is the owner of the data, what was the last instance this data was changed. So let's store these members in the entity. So I'll just do a zoom. Right-click on the entity, expose as OData resource. It will ask for the module that I want to create my service in. So I will repeat myself. This entity is going to become a resource of my service. So I can have multiple such resources because I can have multiple domain model entities, basically. So I can have multiple resources under one service itself, and I can have different services catering to different needs that I want to expose my data within my application. So I just create a service, let's say customer service, and I press OK, OK, and I run my application locally. Okay, so the question would be coming now, okay, I expose my entity as a OData resource, so where is the URL of the service that I want to access? Well, that's quite easy because in this document, you can already see that the location of the service is already populated. Not only this, if you go to the settings tab, you can already see that there is a service feed URL, and there is a metadata that you can already see out of this service. So let's just try to use it in a browser, for example. Open this browser, run this. If you see here, I have not applied any security. So any anonymous user can just go to this application, access this service. So this was the power of OData, that I could just expose my entity as a OData. Oops, yeah. So you can see that it is giving me information as an atom XML that I have a person entity, and if I call these services in a third-party tool like Excel, for example, that's the most common tool, I can just see all the persons or customers present in my database. So that was the simplest, easiest way that I could just see to extract my data. So I will just go into a little bit of details about this feature in Mendix, where I'll tell you, you already see that this dialog is giving me 3 tabs, General, Resources, and Settings. You can definitely give different names to your service. As you give your different name, let's say my customer service, whatever, it can give you the URL in that format. So you can use that location as you want. If you go to the Resources tab, you can already see that they have exposed person entity and which module it is belong to. It also gives that information. If you double-click on this resource, it opens another dialog that I want to do something with my resource. For example, I want to expose attributes. So like I mentioned that I already exposed created date, change date, system owner, system change by. If I don't want to expose them, yeah, I can also deselect them or select them based on my need, and then they will only be exposed in the service that I'm exposing. Just to highlight here that the attributes of the entity itself, name and age, are automatically populated. So if you have an existing domain model, you just have to go and right-click and expose it. It will take care of everything. It will also populate all your attributes that you want to show, your association information with different entities, and there you go. You don't need to write a script or a code to find out a way to expose your data. And you can always see that these dialogues gives you more information in creating custom definition of my service. So if I press OK here, so that means I have selected my attributes and associations I want to expose. I want to give a name to my entity that can be customer, so you can change your resource name also. This is the location of the service and the paging that I was saying. So I want to actually get my data in form of pages so that it doesn't crash the tool that it is integrating with. So I can define, let's say, 100 pages in one call. And this is so fast. I'll just show you when I connect with Excel. So this is how you define. If you go to the Settings tab, this is the third tab, you can already see that there is a service feed to this service. Security, which is quite important, and I can already select roles for my service. So on top of your existing domain model security, entity access, you can define your security on your service level itself. And I press OK, and we are done. So now I'm going to use a predefined setup of an application. So I'll take an example of, let's try to find out some male and female customers using different types of products, iPhone, BlackBerry, or Android. So I will have a simple application with a already existing data. It's 1,000 records in the database. And then I'll try to use different tools to connect to these services to see what can I do with that data and get an insight. So let's open the existing setup. I can go to My Apps, and I can already see that there is an application. So this is the predefined setup. You already see that there is a person entity and a product entity. I just zoom in for the people who can't see. So these both entities are exposed as resource under one service, and that service is customer service. So I'm interested to know how many customers use which kind of products based on their genders. And I also defined the security in my service. So just to walk you through or give you a glance of what I have done, I have defined the name of the service. I've created multiple resources. What I was saying is what I've done, that I have created different resources. These two resources are with paging, and the other two resources are without paging. So I have an option to do that. So I've already selected two resources to do that. I have applied the security. So I also have a test account user who can only access this service and see the data, because not everybody should be allowed to see your data. OK, so let's run this. In the meantime, I run my service. I would like to open my favorite tool, Excel. Yeah, as a QA, you can understand this is an important tool. So if I look at my application, and I just trying to copy the URL of my service, so let's say copy this, and open Excel. Oh, I think I'm going to give some tips and tricks about what you can do with within Excel. If you go to the Data tab, you can have this option to choose from OData feed. So I was not lying. Actually, these tools have this feature to allow me to connect to an OData feed only. I was not having a REST service. I was having an OData feed. OK, fine. Accepted. OK, now when I use it, it already gives me a data connection wizard to give the link to the service. So I pasted the service link. As I said, I have a test account user who can only access this service. Click on Next. OK, here you go. That metadata, which I was talking about, which gives me a nice representation in Atom XML format, is already interpreted by this tool. You can already see that I can visualize my resources in this application, in this tool, which is trying to connect to my application. So I'm now choosing my customer and product resource. I don't know to write a query right now to extract my customer information. I just select them. I click on Next. I can give some file name to my, I can give it like customer service. This is more Excel-related stuff, so I can just give a file name to it. And I can press Finish. It says that you already have a file that was created. OK, replace it. I want to create a new file. This is the important part. We were talking about insight. Let's create a pivot chart based on this data. I press OK, and it should be connected to the service with only those resources which I selected. OK, there I go. So I already see that on the right-hand side, these are two resources that are populated. Well, how it works in Excel, let's try to find out. If I just minimize this, I want to use the product name as one of the axes in my pivot chart, and I want to use the gender as another axis. Okay, the moment I create it, and I want to know the count of male and female users who are using different types of products. So basically, I'm interested in product ID. So I just drag and drop it in the values. Here you go. Do you see that there is a notification above? Relationships between tables may be needed. Yes, sure, because my domain model already has an association between customer and product. So I want to link all those customers and their products. I don't trust this graph right now. This is not right, because I haven't set my relationship. So Excel is smart enough, and it allows me to auto-detect that relationship. It says it already detected the relationship. I can also see that which relationship it was. So, yeah, here, and that's it. So it says that customer ID in the customer table is acting as a foreign key in my product table. So they both are linked right now. So I can just close it. Here you go. And then you see the different information. OK, so if you look at the values tab, this is giving me the sum of product ID. I'm not interested in the sum. I'm interested in the count. So I can just go to the value field settings, and I can select count instead of sum. Press OK. This is what I was interested in. Now I can easily tell. I can also add labels to it. So I can just say add data labels. So now if you look at my pivot chart, I can just do this. Yeah. So it tells me that there are 197 female users for Android and 166 male users for iPhone. This gives me some information. From the raw data, I cannot understand what my application has, what the data is. This is value. This enables you to make decisions when you are taking important decisions in your business. This is very simple pivot chart. People are doing complex reporting. Data scientists are working with it, and they just analyze the data, and that's how they interpret the data in these standard formats. So I would like to also show you the power of Excel for auto updates. So imagine the situation, in last 1 minute, somebody changes the data, or let's say, for example, all my BlackBerry users migrate to Android. So all the users in BlackBerry should be 0 now. So I can already go to my application first. So I can just go to my modeler and view the app. So like I said, it's a predefined setup. So if I log into my application, I already see that there is a microflow which will simulate that behavior. I'm going to manually convert all the BlackBerry users to Android to see what we can do in Excel. So before I do that, I go to Excel, and I show you how you can configure it. If you go to the data and go to the connections, I just minimize it again, and properties. If you see here, refresh every, let's say, 1 minute. Yeah, we don't have that much time. So 1 minute is OK. And I close it, and I refresh it. So what I'm going to do, go to the application, press this button. I pressed it. I go to my Excel now. And like I said, I configured it for 1 minute. So basically, after 1 minute, all the BlackBerry users should be migrated to the Android users. And this graph should change, right? That's how the live data changes when you see in the day-to-day life. And the reporters gives you more information about what has happened. So if I just, I suppose 1 minute is quite long here. So that's the power of 1 minute, huh? And in the meantime, it will try to read from the application and try to get the data out of it. So it should show some processing bar that I'm trying to refresh your data here. Oh my God, it does. Wow, fascinating. So now I should be able to see only Android and iPhone users. OK, so this is very basic stuff. I interacted with Excel. Let's move on to something technical. Let's try to use LinkPad, which can write direct queries to your data, and then you can connect to this service and extract your data. So if I open this tool, LinkPad, this is for, so if you look at the UI itself, it's scary. It only gives me some empty space to write some C# language expression and some add connection. So let's try to add connection to it. If you already see that this gives me an option to choose data, okay, OData version 3. Oh yeah, we support OData version 3. So we connect to it, and we click next, and it should be the customer service. Obviously, as a QA, I always test whether the connection is successful. That's the first thing. Let's test the connection. Uh-oh, unauthorized. So what do we need? Test account. Yay. So the failed test says test case passed with the failure scenario. So enter the details. Now test the connection. Woohoo! It is successful. Now I press OK, and I minimize. Now okay. The metadata, like I already showed in Excel, that you already see that the metadata has been generated automatically. I didn't do anything. It just called the service, give me the resources. Okay, let's try to be some technical guy now. Drag this customer here and give me all the customers. Please, give it to me. Uh-oh, yeah, so it works. So you can just write these simple queries. So it is giving me all the records. I mentioned about paging. This whole data has come in form of pages. You can already see that there is a link to the next page. When I click on this, the next query is run, and you can see in the request logs that please skip the first 100 records and give me the next set of records. So that paging helps, and it is also using our query streaming API that minimize the memory consumption and increase the performance to retrieve the data as fast as you can. Yeah, this is just 1,000 records. Imagine the big data. I don't know what it will do. So it should do the same thing with that. And if I write another complex query, let's say, so I can say to actually give me the, oh, not this one. Give me the customers with age. Oh, I can already, I'm not that technical, so I just use this option. Oh, yeah. Customer where, okay. I want those customers who has an age between 20s and 30s. Oh, young customers, basically. Oh, yeah. So I just do this, and I execute this query. Oh, so this gives me all the customers between the age of 20s and 30s. I don't like this age in this unsorted order. Let's try to do some sorting, maybe. And I do this. So this should arrange the data. Oh, yeah. Now you see all 21, 22, yes, good. 23. Oh, so the data has sorted based on the age. These are some tips and tricks that you can use with LinkPad while you are querying your data. Let's try a complex one now. OK. And this is a C# statement that I can write and can connect to my data. Here, what I'm trying to achieve is that I'm trying to write a joint query on customer and product table and trying to see which BlackBerry users are there in my database. But that reminds me that I already converted my BlackBerry users to Android. So the result should be 0, right? OK, so let's try to see if it is 0. Oh, yeah, that's 0. So the count is 0. It tried to do this query behind the scenes. These are the requests that are going to the application, and that gives you the result back. Let's try to change this. I don't like 0, actually. So I just go to my application. I have another microflow called regenerate data. So I just regenerate it. And I just go to the LinkPad and now try to see. There should be some data for BlackBerry users. OK. So I see there are 68 users in my applications. So I'm just trying to simulate how the data can change and how you can write queries. And these queries could be part of, imagine, data warehouse. I can fill a data warehouse between Mendix application and the BI tool, which will be pushed with some data every time the data changes. And then I can get real-time updates. So that's the power of OData, that you can also do the filling of a data warehouse using some ETL logic. I think some of you know already what I'm saying here when I talk about data warehouse. So this was the power of this tool, LinkPad, which can write simple queries. Now let's move to a professional tool, Tableau, which I was mentioning like 3 times already. So let's open Tableau. And I'm using the versions of these tools which are available free. So it's not a licensed version. So you can buy a license for these tools. So if you see to the interface here, yeah, it's another scary interface. It just says you can connect to something. OK, connect to OData. OK, I have OData. So let's try to paste. There is a change in Tableau. It does not connect to a service altogether. It connects to different resources. So you will not be able to paste, or you will not be able to connect to the service itself, but you can connect to the resource, let's say customer or product. So I'll try to connect to this customer resource. Obviously, I cannot bypass authentication. So just do that. And OK. Once I do that, I see my metadata. But this is only customer resource. We have been seeing examples where product resource is also included. So let's try to include product resource also. So there is a button which says new data source. OK, I have another data source. Connect to the same, because it's also an OData. So try to connect to the product resource now. And again, give the details. Test account and 1. Oh, that's my password. See, I keep it simple. Simple is easy. So it's extracting data. Now in Tableau, I will have 2 data resources that I have already connected to. If I click on their sheet page, it will already having some features in the tool itself that will only ask me to drag and drop here and there, and then you just see your nice report. So if I just zoom in, I can already show you that it is already connected with customer and product. So like I said, I'm interested in product name. So I just push it to the column. And I'm interested in customer ID. Oh, wait. I already see that there is a link option here. Link, link, link. This is actually telling me that you can set your associations. So if I just hover over this, it is telling me use customer ID as a linking ID. Yes, I want to do that. When I press this, it is already linked. Now, if I drag my gender, customer gender, here in the columns, and I drag the number of products, so basically, if I drag the rows, woohoo! So I see that I can see another representation of my data, where it gives me the count of all male and female users of different products. It has some nice features also, like this color tab. I can already drag, let's say, gender, for example, in the colors, because I want to see it's easy to differentiate which one is a male customer, which one is a female customer. So you can do all sort of this polishing in your tool. So this is more related to what you can do in the tooling itself. The idea was to show you that how fast and easy is to connect with these tools to talk to your services that you expose with just few clicks. So that's the power of OData, and what I said is what I show. So I just switch to the presentation again, so I can already do the. So if I go to my presentation back, this was the demo with Modeler, Microsoft Excel, LinkPad, Tableau. So I showed you some tips and tricks that how you can use these popular tools to give you nice graphical views or charts or Gantt charts that you want to use, and then you can expose your data within no time. The project that I was using, the predefined project, is already there at a location that is accessible for our customers and partners. They can already use that project to play around with OData if they have not used it. Like I said, we have already pushed this feature in 5.18 itself, so it's 6.5.1. So you can already use this link to play around with OData. There is a documentation about it, what we do, what we do not do, what we support, how to use it, is there any limitations, everything we have mentioned in our documentation. And there is a reference guide to show you some other tips and tricks that you can use when you are using these BI tools to interact with your data. Any questions? Yeah?
Is it possible to post data with OData?
To publish your data, actually?
Post. So
The rest?
data to Mendix.
Okay, so, oh yeah, this is a nice question, because tomorrow my colleagues, Kevin and Peter, are going to tell you about the native REST functionality that we have in the modeler, which will also allow you to consume this data. So it's interesting, right? Talking from Mendix to Mendix application or Mendix to third world. That's how it should work. And tomorrow, stay tuned with them. They'll show you the native REST functionality. So you'll get your answers there. Yeah.
Sorry, just to clarify, was that consuming OData?
Yes, consuming OData. Because OData is REST, right? So if I have a feature in the product, which is native REST functionality, then definitely I should be able to call OData. Because OData is nothing but REST.
And then that's going to be a new feature.
Exactly. That's already a new feature, and it's in the product. Peter and Kevin will show you tomorrow.
So just a quick question.
Yeah.
Let's say you wanted to apply business logic to, you don't want to expose your entities to raw OData.
Yeah.
The Mendix says certain kind of, in a certain state, you don't want to expose the data.
Yeah.
Can you set a microflow as a source for OData, or should you then just use the REST functionality?
You can use the REST functionality also, or you can use the microflow as a source of your data. So let's say at the start of your application, you already have a microflow which is generating your data, right? So that becomes the source to your data. But you are asking about if you can just give a microflow as input to the REST service, right? That you're.
Yeah, so you want to expose the microflow as a record set, you want to expose that as OData.
Exactly. So that you can already do, because in REST module, we have a REST module that is there in the App Store that you can use to expose that as a microflow. But with OData functionality, you only expose your resources in a service. You don't expose microflows as a resource. So but you can already use it in the REST module.
What if you change the data model?
Sorry?
What if you change the data model?
What I've changed the data modeling. Then you will get consistency errors in your modeler that, hey, you define some service, there is no such resource that exists. Well, these are the negative test cases that we should definitely encounter, and then should trigger me to go back to my domain model or my consistency error that guides me, oh, this is what I have to reconfigure now because I have changed my domain model.
Now, it's the same question. If you expose your private domain model
Yeah.
to customers or to wherever users,
Yeah.
so what I try to do now is to have a special module which exposes exact sites by an API.
Yeah.
But I don't want to expose my users' data to my own model because I would.
Exactly. That's where you define security in your application, right?
It's one thing also. I don't want to know them. But if I want to change the structure, I don't want them to be bothering by that.
Then you don't store the information about system members. I cannot store the information who changed the data. I can just deselect them. And then I'm the creator of my application. I have all rights to restrict who can see my data, who cannot. So that's how you can achieve it.
What are transport protocols are supported by OData, like HTTP, apart from FTP, what if I want it to be on the internet side of my organization?
Right now, it supports HTTP protocol only. So if you want to have a feature request, yeah, definitely that can be entertained. Yeah. So I hope we had a good journey. I would like to thank you all for attending this breakout session with me.